Hi, friends. Welcome to the Do Life podcast, where we talk about life, its challenges, and some clever ways to tackle common obstacles with science-based research and a bit of metaphysical properties. I'm your host, Life Coach Layla, and today we're going to be talking about empty nesting, or as I like to call it, midlife crisis. Just kidding. It's not called that. It should be, though. Not really. Anyway. Or as my networking group, shout out to the women empowering women, call it the open door season because, and I don't speak for everybody, but our children will always be welcome wherever I am. So let's get started. One of the things I came across as a challenge when I became an empty nester is a lot of the research on the internet wants to tell you what to do when you become an empty nester, which is great, but none of it really helps you navigate the feelings or emotions that come. I don't know about everybody, but I went through an entire whirlwind of emotions. Maybe it was situationally because I live in St. Louis and my daughter moved to Washington. I'm in the middle of America and she moved to the West Coast. We turned it into like a 2-week vacation. We went sightseeing, we rented an SUV, and then we took her SUV and we took everything she owned and we crammed it into the cars. We spent an entire week or so just driving across the country and sightseeing. We stopped in Moab. We did all the fun things. And when I came back, not only did I have the post-vacation blues, but then I had that empty nest syndrome. It's a lot of weird feelings and emotions that I wasn't prepared for. I had no idea I was going to feel any kind of way. I was so excited for my child and this opportunity, kind of like when you're planning for college with your children and you get excited about all the things that they're going to do as an adult, and you get excited about grants and scholarships and the next chapter in their life. And you're just genuinely excited for your kids, and you never really think that it's going to affect you. And then you get home and you've got this sinking pit in your stomach and you're just like, why am I heartbroken? I was not prepared at all to be sad about this. It didn't help that right afterwards, my oldest daughter said that she was moving out too. So then I come back to all these already questionable feelings and emotions, and then I'm hit with that too. So you get your post-vacation blues and then the empty nest syndrome, and there was not really any resources or common information to share that discuss. I felt like I should feel guilty for feeling sad because I was so happy for my kid and I was so happy for the opportunity that she came across. And then my oldest daughter had a lot of trash things happen to her. She was moving out and I was excited for her to have this new chapter in her life because she was overcoming a lot of really crazy obstacles that I wish she would have never had to go through, but you can't help that as a parent. Anyway, so you feel guilty because you're sad and it's like, why am I sad? And I reach out to my daughter who moved across the country to check in on her because she's a Cancer. Her big three are Cancer, Pisces, Libra, if you know anything about astrology. So she's a very emotional human being, and I wanted to make sure she was okay. But I didn't want to use her to console me because I knew she was going through all of the emotions. So I wanted to be there for her as a parent and let her know that her feelings were valid and normal and that I was sad too. And, I was managing. I will say that that's one thing as a parent you don't want to do when your children move out is use them to console you because they're going to be going through a lot of things too, even if they don't want to show it. And even if they're not going through it, it's a new, chaotic, confusing time in their life and they don't need to navigate your problems in addition to their own. And I know everybody's relationship with their children is different. So I'm not here to tell you what to do or not to do. Actually, don't rely on them for emotional support. Like even if you think that's okay and that's what your relationship is built on, just don't. It's not healthy. Anyway, I grieved a lot and it didn't help that I was a single mom for like 10 years. So it had always been just me and my daughter and now she's gone. So what do I do with myself? Because I am a young mother. I had babies young. They left young. Like, okay, I've been a mom longer than I haven't been. So I don't know who I am or what I want to do with my life. I wanted to do all the things. I was I was a college planning professional. I got my life and health insurance license and I was dabbling in the wealth and finance department. I was studying to get my Series 65. I was helping people with annuities and life insurance policies and small business group health insurance. And then at the same time was training to be a college planning professional and getting all my certifications and training in for that. I've been dabbling in voice acting here and there for years. So I was doing that in addition to working a full-time job as a district manager for a local gaming company. I was a professional mermaid. So, I dove headfirst and was like, okay, I don't know what to do with myself. So I'm going to do all the things. So I'm going to make all the money. I'm going to have all the careers because I don't know what to do with this void that I'm feeling. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, I could have filled it with drugs or alcohol or gambling or other addictions like some people tend to do. I decided to be profitable with my psychosis. So, no judgment. Everybody does things differently. And I'm not saying that what I did was appropriate or good or any of those things, but that's just how I coped. And then one day my husband was like, can you schedule me? Can I make time with you? And I was like, oh yeah. This brings me to the next message. All the things on the internet was like, reconnect with your spouse. And I'm like, we never really disconnected. We have a great relationship. We're fine. Well, I kind of took that for granted because all of the advice was so annoying to me because it was like, reconnect with your spouse. I'm like, I don't need to do that. We made sure that while we were parenting and raising our children, we made time for each other and had that. So I didn't feel like that was something I needed to work on or focus on. Then I started doing all these other things and it was like, oh, maybe I should have done that. So even though all the advice was telling me to do that, I didn't do that. It's probably a good thing to listen to some of that advice and at least just check in with your partner and see, hey, do we even still like each other? Do we want to maybe plan dates? Let's put ourselves on a schedule. So once you get over all of the emotions, and I'm not here to tell anybody how long to grieve. The grieving process is different. It took me 2 weeks of just bawling my eyes out and being sad and lonely and pathetic because I was just like, what do I do with my life? My baby's gone. My whole life was my baby and now they're gone and I don't know what I'm doing with myself. And I don't want to say I'm pathetic because I was crying, but I was just in a pathetic state of just feeling sorry for myself. And there was no reason for all of that. But again, everybody grieves differently. I needed to feel those feelings and go through the emotions and get it out and process. That way I could get over it and move on with my life. Everybody grieves and processes things differently. Make sure that you are doing it in a healthy way. Feel your feelings, get over those feelings. It's okay to go through a season of sadness, but just don't make it a lifestyle. And if you feel like it's getting to the point where you can't control it, please seek professional help. There are support groups. There are specialized therapists. There's a lot of ways that you can reach out to people if you need to. But anyway, after I was done with the grieving process, I was like, okay, let me do a quick Google search and see what else there is to do besides the reconnect with your partner. And there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of helpful things and things I thought was great. So instead of me going off the deep end and doing all the things, I needed to just focus on setting goals, setting realistic goals, something I can do for myself that's not chaos. I was already in the middle of doing all the other things and becoming a life coach and training for that and doing all the studying there. So I was like, okay, I'm going to pick something and I'm going to go head first and I'm not going to do all the things anymore. I'm still a mermaid because that's just fun for me and I don't want to take that away. You got to have an outlet. You got to have a hobby. The mermaiding is a hobby, but I turn it into a career so that way it pays for itself because it's an expensive hobby. Now it's a self-sustaining business, which is fine. And I don't want to do anything more than that because then that'll make it not fun. And I just want it to be fun. One of the things that they suggest is to find a hobby, start crocheting, go knit, learn how to ski, learn how to ice skate, do something fun that you've always wanted to do, but never really thought to do. Go do it. And I love that. Something else you can do is self-care. Take care of yourself. As parents, we've spent 18, 20 years taking care of another person and we neglect ourselves in the process. And again, I don't speak for everybody because there are not great parents out there, but you're probably not watching this if you're one of them. But yeah, so self-care is important because we do neglect ourselves in the process of taking care of another human. We don't pay attention to how much we neglect ourselves because at some point it just becomes autopilot and you don't think about it. But the first 2 hours of my day is my time, regardless of whether or not I have an appointment I have to get to, or I have a call, or I'm scheduled to record, or whatever I'm doing. The first 2 hours of every day is my time. I wake up, I meditate, I contemplate life, I visualize my day, I work out and drink a lot of water, and then maybe have something healthy for breakfast or coffee, but it's not until after those 2 hours. Those 2 hours is just for me and for water. prioritizing yourself and your self-care is something that I think a lot of parents, I don't mean just women, parents in general, you don't do that as often as you should when you're raising a child. When they're gone, that's something that you need to refocus on and revisit and be like, okay, where am I neglecting myself? What time do I have every day that I'm dedicating to me? Because that's important. And you should prioritize self-care, mental health, physical health, visual health, however you want to do it. Something else you could do that your kids will probably make fun of you for and laugh at, which I don't care, I think is funny, is get a new pet. You're missing that caregiver aspect of your life when you were a parent. If you miss having something to take care of, as long as you can commit to it fully and you're not like, I'm going to get a pet, and then as soon as you're done with your depression or whatever, you're like, oh, I don't want this thing. Don't do that. But if you genuinely miss having something to take care of and something rely on you, get a little pet. It doesn't have to be a dog or a cat or a bird or something you're allergic to. Get a fish and just have something that meets you, something simple that you can handle. So get a pet responsibly. Don't just get something that's going to consume all of your attention that you're not capable of, especially when you're in this weird state of who am I and what do I want to do with my life. You don't necessarily want to commit to getting a dog and spending the next 15 years of your life taking care of that animal if you're just going through a phase. So make sure that you're in a good place mentally before you make that decision. And obviously, if you have a partner, probably talk that over with them and make sure it's a good thing for both of you. Because if you're on two different wavelengths, if he's like, oh my God, kids are gone, we're going to go on all these vacations and do these things and we're going to live our lives and it's going to be me and you. And you're like, I just got a dog. We're not going anywhere. That could be a problem. Make sure that you take care of that conversation aspect before you look into getting a pet. But the vacation thing is great because one thing we joke about as younger parents with grown kids, when we were younger, we missed out on a lot. We didn't get to go to Jim's party down the street in the garage because his parents were gone or whatever. We missed out on all the goofy high school parties and things because we were busy raising babies. But now that we're grown-ups and we have grown-up money and our kids are grown up too and they got grown up money and they're out doing their own thing and living their own lives, and our friends are at home changing diapers and we're like, okay, well, we're going to go on this cruise. I spent the summer in Europe and then we're going to go on a cruise next month, and our friends are like, I can't go to the concert tonight because I can't find a babysitter. Haven't had that problem in a long time. And I don't say that to brag or gloat or throw it in anybody's faces, but it's just one of those things where as young parents, we thought it was the end of the world because we couldn't go to this party or hang out with these people. Everyone's telling us about all these things we miss. And as teenagers, we thought that was such an important thing. Now that we're grown and we can do all these things that our friends with small kids can't, we don't want to take that for granted. We've missed out on so much of our life at such a young age that nobody really thought about except for us. They don't remember that we weren't at this party. They don't know why we're not in any of the pictures in their photo albums. We do, because we were at home changing diapers. And now they're upset because they're at home changing diapers and we're living grown-ups' lives. And so that's definitely a thing that you could do as your kids are gone. Go spend the money that you wouldn't have if you were still feeding and bathing and clothing them and invest it on yourselves, or, invest it. Take your money and put it somewhere smart. When my kids moved out, again, I had two girls move out at the same time, which meant my water bill went down because there's less showers and baths and laundry. The lights aren't on constantly. The TVs aren't on constantly. My power bill was cut in half. My water bill was cut in half. Our food bill was cut in half. We were going to big box stores and spending $300 every 2 weeks on all the snacks and the groceries. When the kids moved out, the groceries weren't nearly as expensive as they are now. So that would probably be, closer to $400 or $500 every 2 weeks that we would have to spend to buy the same things right now. All of that money that we're saving, goes in investments or towards ourselves and enjoying our lives as adults that we missed out on for all these years. So however you want to do that, but make sure you take a look at your finances and be like, okay, here's all this extra money, and then do something with it that makes you happy. Whether it's investing on your future, planning for your retirement. I know that doesn't really make you happy, but it's making future you happy. I plan things for future me and do future me favors because I know present me doesn't want to do the things. So if I can do something nice for future me, because a lot of us will do nice things for other people and not ourselves. If you can think of yourself as another person, I'm going to do this for the future version of myself, you're more likely to do it. When I say do things that make you happy, planning on retirement doesn't necessarily make anybody happy, but when you think of how happy future you is going to be when they're sitting on a beach, living their best life, you might be a little more inclined to do that. So plan vacations, invest your money. There's clubs, there's volunteering. You get a pet because you want something to take care of. You're used to taking care of things. If getting a pet isn't a feasible option, go volunteer somewhere because you're still doing something nice for someone else and you get that rewarding feeling of being there and helping them and doing the good things. If you're just genuinely lonely, you can start a group, join a hobby, book clubs or hobbyist clubs. There's all kinds of fun things that you can do to interact with other people. So you're not like attaching to your kids. You want to let them go live their lives without feeling bad about it or feeling like they have to be responsible for entertaining you while they're still gone or any of those things. Start a group. You can even host parties at your house. I threw a color party shortly after my kids moved out and was like, everybody dress up as a different color and bring a basket or something along the lines of your color. I had a sign-up sheet. Everybody picked a color and showed up as their color and brought things related to it. It was super fun. That was something I did. I'm going to host a party. I'm going to have friends come over. I'm going to reconnect with people. We're going to do things. I have a lot of friends that are in network marketing groups. So I was like, bring all your stuff. We'll have a whole fancy sales party. We'll do all the things. It was really fun. So that's something that you could do to keep your mind off of things or, just to have fun as a free adult. Retreats. Retreats are also a great way to spend your time as an adult. And they're different from vacation because retreats are genuinely like a vacation with a purpose. So there's a lot of different options as far as the different types of retreats based on what you like. If you want a self-care retreat or a couples retreat or business retreat, so there's a lot of options. Decluttering. That was a really hard thing for me to do, was to declutter the space once my daughter moved out. We moved almost everything with her. We kept a couple things and some keepsake boxes and put those in the attic. But I know a lot of parents will leave their kids' rooms as is in case they ever come back. And if you have the space to do that, that's fine. If that's a decision you make, there's nobody telling you not to do that. But I turned my daughter's bedroom into a gym. And then when my oldest daughter moved out, I turned her bedroom into a music room. My husband had a lot of band equipment. We've got a drum set and guitars and a microphone and all those things. And we've got all this memorabilia from all the concerts, concert ticket stubs, pictures, pics, set lists, all those fun things. So it's still a work in progress. It was hard for me to redo their rooms because you always think, well, maybe they'll come back. They need this space. No, we have couches. We have an extra bedroom. We have places for them to sleep, just like when we have friends stay over. So they can stay in those places. It didn't make sense to leave their bedrooms as bedrooms because we don't need all of these extra rooms. If you have the time and the means and the ability to declutter that space and turn it into something, if you come up with a new hobby, the gym is also the mermaid room. So I have all my mermaid stuff in there, and in the closet area is all mermaid stuff, and the rest of the room is the gym. So if your kids move out and you come up with a new hobby, turn their bedroom into your hobby room. I got the gym/mermaid room, and my husband got the sound room in the basement, and it worked out perfectly. Whatever you need to do to fill that space and turn that into something positive, something that makes you happy. When I walk in that room and I see the gym equipment, I see the mermaid stuff, I'm happy that all those things are in there, and I'm not sad because my daughter's not in there. That's basically what I'm saying. So in a nutshell, I just wanted to say that when your kids move out, it's perfectly normal to go through a full spectrum of emotions. It's okay to feel guilty and sad and upset. It's okay to feel those feelings and, take the time that you need to process and deal with those. And then try to turn it into something positive afterwards. And if you're having a particularly difficult time getting out of the negative, if it's been more than a month or two, and 2 months seems like a long time, again, you can grieve however long you need to grieve. If I think about it, I still get sad sometimes, but I don't stay in that sadness. I don't want that to consume me and trigger, deeper depression and things. So if you're having a particular time getting out of that mindset, I would say if it's been more than a month and you're still feeling super sad and super hopeless, then absolutely get help. Get professional help. There's support groups. There's a lot of options. So make sure you're taking care of you first and foremost and doing the right things that you need to. I would love to hear in the comments, what are some things that you've dealt with or coping mechanisms that you came up with? How have you decided to handle this open door season? And subscribe, like, share. I'll leave a link to my website below if you want to sign up for my newsletter. I would love to be here for you and help on a one-on-one basis. And if there's anything I can do, let me know. Anyway, this has been a really fun time talking to you guys about my personal situation, and I hope that you've learned something from it. You found value in this. Maybe I'll deep dive into financials here soon in an upcoming episode on, how you can invest that money. Anyway, I hope you have a great time. I'm going to go do life. You should too.